On today's episode, America's headed for another civil war, and we'll talk about some Trump derangement syndrome. Let's get into it. G'day guys, thanks for joining us here on another episode of Crossing the Line, and America is headed for another civil war. Let's get straight into it. Now, after the FBI's raid on Donald Trump and his Mar-a-Lago home the other day, looking for apparent nuclear documents, classified nuclear documents which may or may not even exist, we've had a few things happen after that where today a man has fatally shot himself after plowing a car into a barricade outside the US Capitol. Now, it's not 100% clear whether he did this because of said FBI raid on Trump. His political leanings were unclear at the present time. But I'm sure we'll find out more in the next coming few days. But the left and the mainstream media has already jumped on this and started saying that it's a crazed Trump fan. It very well could be. I mean, we saw some pretty crazy people there on January 6th. Not that those were probably FBI agents. Let's all be honest about that, though. But let's have a look at this story here from timcast.com. Man crashed his vehicle into a barricade outside the US Capitol before fatally shooting himself early Sunday morning. Law enforcement does not believe the man was trying to target members of Congress. Well, I wonder if he was just fed up with $4 a gallon gas, or possibly their country turning into a third world country in a toilet. And, well, we won't make any assumptions, will we? The incident took place at the barricade on the East Capitol Street, the 2nd Street, at approximately 4 a.m. That's pretty early for a crazy person. I don't know, usually it's a midday thing. You think they get on their meth pipe. But he might have had some good gear on him. He might have been up early. Early bird gets the worm. The deceased man's identity has not been made to the public at time of publishing, which is a bit odd. I don't know if it's come out recently. It might have been released by the time this episode's come out. Usually they throw their name out there straight away. I'm wondering whether them hiding it is maybe because he was a registered Democrat, or maybe even if it was African American, they tend to hide that, or someone from the Middle East even, just so they can get a couple of days of saying that it's a white Trump supporter before they actually bring out the facts and have to begrudgingly tell the truth about it. But I don't know yet. No one knows yet. So after crashing his car, the vehicle quickly became engulfed in flames, according to the press release from the US Capitol Police. Upon his exit from the burning car, he began firing shots into the air. The man then fired several shots in the air along the East Capitol Street, the law enforcement agency said. When our officers heard the sound of gunfire, they immediately responded and were approaching the man when he shot himself. Now, only if those police were there in Uvalde, where that school shooting was, it might have saved some lives if they had reacted that quickly instead of sitting in the hallway sanitizing their hands. But, we won't poke fun at those guys for letting children die. But anyway, there were no injuries reported of the incident, and it does not appear that any police officers discharged their weapons during the confrontation. He couldn't have been black then. He must have been a white guy. At this time, it does not appear the man was targeting any members of Congress who were on recess, and it does not appear the officers fired their weapons, the USCP said. Investigators from the USCP are looking into the man's background while the Metropolitan Police Department is handling the death investigation. Now, it's not the first time they've been protesting out the front of FBI buildings. I'd say Trump supporters, right-wing leading people, and the left seems to be saying that the right is pushing for a civil war. But I know who's pushing for a civil war is Merrick Garland. He wrote off and signed off on the Trump parade. Now, this is another story from Timcast. He is now filed to unseal search warrant and property list. Now, Attorney General Merrick Garland held a press conference on Thursday announcing that the Justice Department has filed to unseal the search warrant and the property list of the raid of former President Donald Trump. The press conference of Garland's first public statement since Mar-a-Lago was searched by federal agents on Monday. During the speech, Garland confirmed the FBI's search for Trump's residence and announced that the department had filed a motion to unseal the warrant of property receipt. Just now, the Justice Department had filed a motion in the Southern District of Florida to unseal search warrant and property receipt relating to the court-approved search the FBI conducted earlier this week. That search was a premises located in Florida belonging to the former president, Garland said. Now, I don't know about you, but if you had the cojones to FBI raid the former president, doesn't matter which one, imagine if they did this to Obama, you'd want to have all your fucking ducks in a row. Because if you, especially Trump being a millionaire in his own right, he's going to sue the fuck out of you. Not to mention, he hinted to the fact that he will be running for president again in 2024, and the Democratic Party decides to go and raid their rival. Doesn't have a good look about it. I'm putting money on this might have just won him the presidency in 2024 again, unless they just do a Epstein on him or Kennedy on him maybe, which they do love doing. We know that for sure. Garland claimed that he will not give further details about the search for ethical reasons. What the fuck does he know about ethical? He is an avid Trump hater. He's tweeted about it. He's said about it in many interviews. He hates Trump. It's not a hidden thing. And I think there might be a little bit of bias going on here. I don't know about you, but I don't think trying to frame, arrest, raid, whatever you want to call it, your political rivals has been done for a while. Where was the last time I remember that happening? I'm sure it's happened since, but there was something about some Austrian fella with a funny mustache and some brown shirts that used to go around beating up and arresting and killing their political rivals. It happened a little while ago. I wonder what happened with that. Where did that go? Now, Garland claimed that he will not give further details on the search for ethical reasons. The Attorney General has also announced that copies of the warrant and property record receipts were provided to Trump's counsel during the search. Now, they weren't. The lawyers weren't allowed in for the search. They were apparently made to wait outside in the heat. Oh, poor Floridan heat, But us Australians wouldn't know anything about fucking heat and humidity, would we? The search warrant was authorised by a federal court upon required finding of probable cause. Garland said copies of both the warrant and the FBI property receipt were provided on the day of the search to the former president's counsel, who was on site during the search. Additionally, the Attorney General, who also confirmed that he personally signed off on the warrant. Now, I don't know about you, but it stinks to high heaven. Whether you like Trump or not, this is a bit of a political hit job. But we had that Russiagate incident, the Steele dossier, the Mueller report. It was all disproven, but and they had to publicly come out and say, that was all bullshit. But they're still pushing it, trying to get Trump off the list. This is just so he cannot run for president in 2024. They're terrified because Biden has done such a bad fucking job that they would rather go back to another 4 years of Trump with, well, I suppose he can't mean tweet anymore, but with the whole shit show that was. Like, he didn't do as bad as a job as the media makes out to. Like, obviously wasn't the best president. He was an arrogant motherfucker. I quite liked it because it was hilarious. I mean, he walked across the border to North Korea. Like, what fucking... No president's ever done that. And no other president probably ever will until... I don't know. Like, that's never going to happen again. He walked across the border to North Korea and shook hands with the little rocket man and made fun of him about being fat to his face. That is fucking hilarious. I don't care who you are. The Rosie O'Donnell comment. Only Rosie O'Donnell. He was a comedian. He did a great job of pissing off people to the max. I know a certain person that definitely has Trump derangement syndrome, and we'll have a chat about that later, though. We'll keep going with the story. Faithful adherence to the rule of law is the bedrock principle of the Justice Department and our democracy. Upholding the rule of law means applying the law evenly without fear or favour, Garland said. Evenly without fear or favour. Now, if that was true, they would have been raiding Hillary Clinton's fucking office for all those emails that just magically disappeared, and maybe, I don't know, something to do with someone named Epstein. I remember there might have been some private flights with someone named Epstein and Clinton. But no, they're not raiding them. They're not looking at the Clinton body count after a guy just the other day apparently committed suicide by hanging himself in a barn and shooting himself in the chest with a shotgun. He hung himself in a barn and then shot himself in the chest with a shotgun. And apparently that was a suicide. That's one hell of a way to go. I mean, he didn't do a Jackson Pollock on the ceiling like Kurt Cobain, which apparently he was well too intoxicated on coke or whatever it was to even pull a trigger. But we won't get in that Courtney Love, will we? But the Clinton body count, the Epstein, the emails, the Mueller report, the hacking of Trump's data, and no one looks into them at all, probably because, you know, they have a bit of health and well-being issues that they're worried about. The press conference took place at the Justice Department on August 11th, hours after an armed man attempted to break into the Cincinnati FBI building, prompting a shootout and standoff in Clinton County, Ohio. The man was making threats, but his motives were not yet publicly available at the time of publishing. Much of our work is by necessity, conducted out of the public eye. We do that to protect the constitutional rights of all Americans and to protect the integrity of our investigations, he said. Now, they didn't protect your rights when they're taking away the American gun rights, and they didn't protect their rights when they banned people from working because they didn't go and get the vaccine. They didn't protect their rights when they were rightfully protesting and, shut them down without any provocation. They weren't protecting their rights when police were driving around in vans in the middle of the unmarked vans in the middle of the night, shooting members of the public with pepper balls and rubber bullets because they were out after dark when there was a COVID lockdown. Now, Americans like to shit on Australia and New Zealand. That horse-faced cunt over there is a different story. But they love to shit on Australia about our quarantine camps that our lovely government decided to build and put some people in. But they don't look at their own shit when they had police driving around shooting civilians with pepper balls and rubber balls unannounced. They're not like, oh, we're the FBI, we're the police, we're going to shoot you if you don't get back in your fucking house. No, they just started shooting at people, and then sometimes those people shot back. If you can YouTube a video, it's quite interesting. African-American man was, I don't know what ended up happening with him, but he got shot at by police in a van with rubber bullets and pepper balls, and he returned fire, as he had a well right to. He didn't know they were police shooting at him. I actually wonder what happened to that. I should probably look into it. The raid of Trump's residence marks the first time in American history that a former president's home was searched as a part of a criminal investigation. Now, shouldn't that shock people that a former president has been raided by the FBI. Now, Trump's made some inflammatory comments about the FBI. So did a certain other person who, his last name was Kennedy. Wonder what happened to Kennedy. But it just seems like they keep pushing for a civil war. Now, like, if you go and beat up and destroy your political rivals, like a lot of communist, Marxist, Nazi parties used to do as well, I hate to see where it's going to end up. I mean, this motherfucker is biased as shit. I mean, you cannot get more biased than this wanker. So, whatever ends up happening with this FBI raid on Trump, I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I don't think they're going to have any information that any documents that he shouldn't have had. Because being the president, if he had classified documents, even the ex-president, is well within his rights to have declassified those documents whilst he was president. I can't see Trump even being dumb enough to have illegally held documents on his person in Mar-a-Lago. Makes you wonder if they were planning anything on him, what they had planned for him. But if they'd really found anything that was worthwhile already, we would have heard about it. Because, I mean, they leaked about the raid. They leaked about what they were looking for. They said it was nuclear documents, which it's already been disproven. It wasn't nuclear documents at all. Then they're trying to say that he was giving out fucking nuclear codes, which is a load of shit. He wouldn't be giving out nuclear codes. Nuclear codes change every couple of minutes or every couple of hours, as far as we know. It's another hit job. The people they weren't obviously making enough money at the media again because Trump was out of the news cycle, and now they're getting a little worried that Biden's fucked up the economy so bad that he very well might just get in again. If he decides to run, there's a good chance they will vote him in. And now, with this new bullshit thing that's going on with the FBI raid, I guarantee you, if he runs again, unless there's some sort of coup d'etat, civil war, which very well could get to that, he will win. Because at the end of the day, people remember that they weren't paying $4 to $5, $6 a gallon for gas in America. Food was on the shelves in the shops. They had money in their wallet. They weren't broke. They had work. They had workers as well. They did not suffer like they did under Biden. Now, Biden can't even string two fucking sentences together. He's apparently shit himself at an event with I think it was the Queen, which could be bullshit, but it's funny to say anyway, isn't it? Fell off his push bike. He can't even ride a fucking push bike. But he cannot run again. He cannot run again. Biden won't be around. He's not around mentally now. He's barely around physically. He had COVID twice in, 3 weeks? How's that fucking booster shot working out for you, mate? You're the president of the United States and you get COVID twice in, 2-3 weeks? Wow. That must fucking work a treat. You think the president would have got the real shit, the good shit. But no. Now, man has also fatally shoots himself after crashing into the Capitol building, the authorities say. Now, the FBI targeted the suspect killer, posting calling to arms in response to a Mar-a-Lago raid. Now, this guy was apparently, a Trump supporter, but I don't see how, they just go and say that just so it fits them, They want to basically paint it as every Trump supporter is a psychopath. So if you support Trump, you have to keep it a secret. You have to pretend you don't. You have to pretend you're a Democrat, whatever, in the US. Now, I think that's what people who support the Greens should think. Here in Australia, we've got enough fucking issues. But if civil war erupts in the US, shit will hit the fan here quickly. If civil war erupts, China will walk into Taiwan. Russia will roll through Ukraine with its full force and may not stop there in Ukraine. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if North Korea invaded South Korea. I mean, if the US is suffering a civil war where they have got more shit going on at home, I would be deathly worried if you lived next to Russia, China, or North Korea. But China's threatening Australia again in the news, as usual. Penny Wong's trying to grease their pole. Now, have a look at the FBI raid on the Mar-a-Lago here. People are not rioting, I'd say protesting in the street about the raid at Mar-a-Lago, which is well within their rights. If they support the former president and want to do it peacefully, there's nothing wrong with that. But now they're trying to paint them as a sort of loony nut job. Now, media loves making fun of Trump, attacking Trump constantly. They lied about him with the Russiagate shit. Turns out Biden was the one with the quid pro quo in Ukraine. And some people just don't seem to believe it. It just, it's not that they have to believe it. It's just that they have to look at the evidence and the news stories and the redactions and the apologies media outlets have had to say because they were wrong and the lawsuits that are happening over it. Now, I work with a certain person who has a definite case of Trump derangement syndrome to the point where I believe he needs medical attention and mental help, I don't know, of some sort. But if you're that incensed about Trump that you take time out of your day to carry on Facebook about it all day and don't even bother to read what actually happened, there's something wrong with you. Now, Trump derangement syndrome, this is by, I can add CNN. This is an old story, but earlier this week, President Donald Trump had diagnosed his opponents with an illness. Some people hate the fact that I got along well with President Putin of Russia. He tweeted, they would rather go to war than see this, which is true. The left is pushing for war. They want the American government to, pretty much move in and stop Russia from taking Ukraine. Now, I don't think Russia should be in Ukraine. I think I've seen a lot of war footage of Russians and Ukrainians dying. There was a apparent war crime committed, and where a Ukrainian soldier had his testicles removed with a knife, and then had his brains blown out. Now, if Russia's committing those kind of crimes, I'm sure Ukraine's committing those kind of crimes too. But Russia should not have entered Ukraine. Ukraine should not have been doing all these backdoor deals and corrupt shit with the Biden family and pushed Russia into having to protect its borders. Now, people still carry on about Trump and Russia. It turns out he had nothing to do with Russia. It's just because maybe he didn't want to start World War III. Also, why he may have crossed the border into North Korea and settled shit with, the Rocket Man. He didn't want to start World War III. And they hate him for it. I don't get, whether you like Russia or not, or Ukraine or North Korea or whatever it is, isn't us not having a nuclear war a good thing, you would think? But no, they want the military-industrial complex to go and quash Russia and help Ukraine, apparently. And they just don't seem to realise the ramifications of that. They just don't seem to realise how many people would die if America instituted a no-fly zone over Ukraine. It would be World War III without a doubt. Then they're poking the bear with Taiwan. I actually give Pelosi some credit for going to Taiwan. I don't think it was such a big deal that they turned out to be. It's not like they were. America wasn't putting in, nuclear weapons in Taiwan or anything like that. It was just some old biddy lady who was visiting. Like, who gives a shit? They are ready to go to war over Taiwan. They're ready to go to war over Ukraine, and if that happens, we are all truly fucked. Doesn't matter whether nukes fly or not. The amount of devastation you would see would be insane. World War II would be nothing compared to World War III. So this that old saying, World War II was fought with guns. World War III, I know not what weapons will be fought. World War III will be fought with, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. Worried you might have Trump derangement syndrome? I know someone who does. Wondering where it came from? I'm here to help. Let's start with what Trump derangement syndrome means. Urban Dictionary offers up this handy definition. Trump derangement syndrome, or TDS, is a mental condition in which a person has been driven effectively insane due to their dislike of Donald Trump to the point at which they will abandon all logic and reason. That's fantastic. I wish I was a doctor so I could diagnose this guy at work with it. Where we were making fun of him about it one day and shit stirring a little at work. So we got, I said to me, mate, why don't you go and tell him at lunchtime that you just go, fuck, I really wish we had President Trump as our Prime Minister here in Australia. Holy shit. He lost his shit. I've never seen anyone have a mental fucking conniption that quickly. It was hilarious. This person is apparently a trained psychologist, but children. I think it's a children's psychologist, but I wouldn't let him near my children. That kind of thing. If you don't know anything about shit, try not to have such a solid opinion on it. Everyone's got an opinion on shit. I've got opinions that are dog shit, and I'm sure I will change them if I am presented with the evidence or a good argument or whatever about whatever topic. It doesn't really bother me. But when you break down mentally and have a conniption over just the word Trump, who's you've never met, has never done anything to you, 99% of the shit they attack him about in the media is wrong and false, and then they have to come out and say it. These people just lose their minds over it as soon as they hear it. It's like that old meme of that screaming liberal they-them thing in the street when he got elected, it was entertaining. And then there was a clip getting around, I think they took it off YouTube, of all the American news representatives and hosts and all that just sitting there going, Trump will never win the election, denying he'll never win, he cannot win, Hillary's going to win, this is going to be a great day for America, the first woman president. And then when Trump started to win that night and they all started crying and breaking down on live TV, it warmed my heart just to see how many people were mentally broken by that. Now, whether you think he did a good job or not, I don't think he did the best job in the world. But he's done a fucking lot better than Biden. But even then, it affects us here in Australia, but it doesn't affect us to the point where you need to be having a conniption over it when something goes wrong and doesn't go your way. If you hear the word Trump and your heart races and your blood boils, I think you need to go and see a doctor. Now, the media, the mainstream media, they love anything to do with Trump. They will make shit up just so that they get clicks, likes, shares, subscriptions, arguments. That's how they make their money off the internet. That is why the MSN, the mainstream media, is pushing for a civil war. They are. they sit there and say, oh, the far right saying that there's going to be a civil war because the FBI raided Trump. Well, do you know why the FBI raided Trump? Is because the dude who signed off on that is biased as fuck and has a bit of Trump derangement syndrome. And they are terrified that when he runs for re-election, that he will win. Now, it'd be interesting when sooner than later, he should be coming out and saying that he's running again, confirm it. When that happens, I think they're going to step up their game. Like, raiding his house is a big fucking step. I mean, after all that shit with Hillary, the deleting of the emails, never raided. Hunter Biden, haven't been raided. After the laptop, the mainstream media suppressed the whole laptop story. He's got videos and photos of Hunter Biden snorting crack off hookers with illegal firearms. Has he been arrested? No. Has he even been investigated? No. Has he been raided? No. Can you imagine if Barron Trump did that? Holy shit. You know, they would be knocking down his door. And Biden's in Hunter Biden's laptop or phone, he put down his dad's phone number under Pedo Peter. So why would you call your father Pedo Peter? That's a little fucked up, you know. Why would you be calling him a pedo? Wonder why. You just see some of the stories of him sniffing children and sniffing some women. It gets a little creepy. But 10% up to the big guy, Hunter said, and the big guy being his dad. That's where his money from Ukraine has been going. No investigation there. Nancy Pelosi, insider trading with her husband. No FBI raid there. No IRS raid. And that's interesting as well. The IRS is just, I think it's another 87,000 employees or something they're going to be getting. They've massive spending budget increased. It's like they're building their own little army, the IRS. So after all those, they're going to be going after all those people with the $600 thing they were chasing them after that they got shut down. If civil war kicks off in the US, or if the mainstream media keeps pushing for it, which is what they're doing, they dividing everything they can. They turn black against white, turn atheist against religious, they turn Christian against Muslim, they turn white against what do you call it? Pro-life versus pro-abortion. Everything they get, Democrat versus Republican, pro-gun versus retard. I don't know. They will keep pushing the wedge deeper and deeper until something kicks off that is going to be like lighting a fuse on a firecracker. It's not easy to put out, and sometimes you can't put it out before it explodes. And if this shit hits the fan, Australia will suffer pretty badly. But the amount of death and destruction that would be spread across the world, not just the US, will be disastrous beyond belief. But we'll keep a close eye on it anyway, because it's quite entertaining seeing the media lose their shit over Trump yet again. We had 4 years of it, or probably 5. But it just doesn't seem to end. It just raiding Trump, Trump derangement syndrome. The media never shuts up about him. Look, all these different stories. 5 days ago, 1 day ago, 5 months. What's this one? Different shit. Another one 4 days ago. They just don't want to stop talking about it because it makes them so much money. Tension. That's how the internet models work for news websites. You know, the more clicks, the more likes, the more shares, the more ad revenue they make. They make revenue off of ads, selling ads. That is the only way they make money. No one wants to subscribe to a news service and pay $7 a month or whatever it is to get fucking news that's biased and wrong anyway, that they have to issue retractions for and then stealth edit. No one wants to pay for that crap. Now, especially when it's so biased. Now, Taiwan is preparing for war after Pelosi's visit. Now, Taiwan's always been preparing for war. When they build their highways, they build them to be able to land planes and emergencies for as an emergency runway. You ever see the documentaries or videos on how aggressively neutral Sweden is? And it's really interesting how they had they used to have all their bridges mined and ready to wired with explosives, ready to explode. They get subsidies when they're building a house. If they build it to make it concrete and bomb-proof, they get a subsidy from the government. There's more, I think it's 3 times the amount of room in emergency shelters, bunkers and shit like that in Sweden than there are populations. 3 times the amount of space for those people. That's why a lot of companies like Facebook, Amazon, places like that go and put their servers in Sweden, stuff like that, because it's a cooler climate as well, so they save a bit on cooling. But they go and put them in these underground bunkers that are high up in the mountains, so it naturally keeps them cool. There's servers and computers and shit like that. So Taiwan is kind of like that. Taiwan is they build and train shit to be ready for war with China, because I think it's just a inevitable thing for these people. Like, imagine growing up in the Red Scare era, where Russia got told every day that Russia will invade, communism will take over if you guys don't button up and be a proud American. It's the same. It'd be the same shit for there, but I'd say that the threat is a lot more real. I mean, Ukraine, they had the same thing there. Those people were training for years, waiting for the day that Russia invaded again, and lo and behold, it happened. Now, Ukraine was talking about after the war when they're done with this war with Russia and they've beaten Russia. We'll see how that goes. They want more. They want more citizens to own firearms. I mean, America's sending hundreds of $billions over there and however many fucking firearms. I'm sure they're going to have plenty of firearms. Not to mention the amount of dead Russians they'll be taking them off. I've seen plenty of fucking videos of that. Now, Taiwan is preparing for war and has called officers back from leave as it braces for a Chinese invasion, according to local media. Now, China can't just go in and walk in and take Taiwan. It would take up to could take up to 12 months. They can only shell Taiwan with some of their largest artillery from a certain point, so they can't shell the whole island of Taiwan from China, but they can definitely hit them, and it would be a massive air war before a naval invasion. The only issue is China doesn't have the supply lines like the Americans do. You're thinking of, when people talk about China invading Australia, Australia's not as close as you think it is. It's quite a distance to travel. Now, you can't just fly a jet from China to Australia. Jets don't have a very long flight time, especially when they're loaded with munitions and, they're actively flying low to get out of radar. I mean, go and watch the new Top Gun. You kind of get what I mean, but they don't have the fuel to fly. And America has a massive refueling effort. They have a massive amount of planes to refuel those jets and planes. And they can fly non-stop 24 hours a day with in-air refueling. China does not have that capability. So they would have to have short skirmishes over Taiwanese airspace with being harassed by Taiwanese Air Force and ground troops, not to mention anyone else who wants to get involved. Just say it was America stayed out of it, which Biden might have just shat his pants and fell off a push bike, so he might get distracted for a couple of days on his probably third dose of COVID. But it wouldn't just be them walking over Taiwan. It'd be a very hard fought battle, but they would take Taiwan eventually. And today, I think it was today or yesterday, they issued Taiwan with a white letter saying that they will give Taiwan a choice to do basically what they did with Hong Kong, where they can keep their own democratic capitalist government, but China pretty much rules over them. They have to listen to China. And we know how that went with Hong Kong. I mean, they got snuffed out without much of a fucking whimper the start of COVID. And that shit went quite real quick. But Taiwan's obviously told them to go and fist themselves. So if anything kicks off in Taiwan, if anything kicks off in the US, if Ukraine, Russia escalates, we're going to have a hard time of it. Now, when we've got having a fuel crisis in Australia, we're having a bit of a power crisis as well. We don't have enough power to run cities. We have rolling blackouts. Another massive COVID spike. Now they're talking about monkeypox again in Australia and saying it's going to be a massive problem. Now I don't know about you, but we all know how monkeypox is being spread. It's 98% of people in a homosexual male gay relationship. With I think it's like 75% of the people who have monkeypox that they tested have had more than 10 sexual partners in the last week or 2 weeks. Like, fucking good on you, boys. You're getting out there and you're not getting pussy, but yeah, you're I don't know how you do it that many times a week. Good on you. But we are going to have massive issues here because we will not be getting anything from China. We will not getting anything into China, no matter how much Penny Wong keeps selling us out. But if we have the Asian, even if going to Japan would get involved, I would say immediately. We won't be sending anything anywhere or getting anything else out of Asia. So just that alone would screw up Australia majorly if China and Taiwan went at it. Now, not to mention the threat of us getting involved as well, which I could say would be almost definite. And when shit like that happens, like when they had these military exercises, because Pelosi was visiting the other week, they were firing. They fired missiles over Taiwan into Taiwanese waters, land, like the amount of close calls that shit could cause, where something happens and something gets misjudged, a missile automatically accidentally locks onto something it shouldn't have, maybe shoot down a airliner like happened in with the Russians in, where was it, Crimea? Those civilians died. That shit can escalate very quickly. So it's things like that you've got to worry about, like the Gulf of Tonkin incident where they said it was a small skirmish and all that. It turns out it was a load of shit that the Americans faked the whole thing and started the Vietnam War. So don't put it past them. Don't put it past them. The Taiwanese National Defense Ministry is said to have briefed all its air defenses that it should prepare for war in the coming days. Beijing has been left infuriated by suggestions that the US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi will visit Taiwan during an Asian tour. Now, we know she did. They had some war exercises off the coast, and not much happened. China will take resolute and vigorous countermeasures to defend its sovereignty and territorial integrity. Taiwan is not China. No. So, upcoming war and civil war in the US, the upcoming war in Taiwan, the ongoing war in Ukraine, and we're sitting here with our thumbs up our ass in Australia, still worrying about COVID and not being able to stock our shelves at supermarkets, bring down the price of fuel. And now we're going to be bringing in a third tier of government for Indigenous people. Doesn't sound like a great idea to me. I'll have to look into it more. But I think there's bigger issues we need to be worrying about. The constant division between groups, people who have lost all sense of reason on both sides, but the only side that I keep seeing doing shit and have completely lost the plot is the left. I mean, the bloke at work, you can't even talk to him about anything because he's that brainwashed by mainstream media and shit on Facebook just by some random person. It's the same as those people who go and put out like the videos that certain, what was it like, what were they saying, cure COVID, like fucking sunlight and shit like that cured COVID or cancer. You know, those people say, oh, marijuana cures cancer. No, it doesn't. It helps with symptoms, helps with nausea, it helps with pain relief. It's a magical fucking thing that should be legalised here in Australia for anyone who needs it and anyone who wants it. It should be legalised completely so you can use it as however you deem necessary. But when you start saying, oh, it cures cancer and shit, you fucking lost me. You know, it doesn't. Now, because we know it doesn't, because if it did, you wouldn't be able to find it anywhere and you wouldn't know anything about it because there's no money in it. So, the wedge that it's been dividing America, the wedge that's been dividing plus us in here in Australia keeps getting pushed by the media. Now, you get Channel 7, Channel 9, 10, ABC, SBS, we all know they're a bunch of communists there anyway. But the larger ones, you've got CNN. The Hill's a really good one. They have a pretty unbiased relationship with either political party in the US. But it's just constantly pushing the narrative that everyone should be fighting each other. And it's going to get to the point where they're going to cause World War III and Civil War, and a lot of people are going to die, and I don't think they'll ever be held responsible for it. So we can only wait and see, but we will keep a close eye on it. Thanks for joining us here today at Crossing the Line. I will hopefully see you guys next time. Please leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Helps us a lot here. New to the YouTube, starting up with this little podcast. Things are going to change. It won't be the same format all the time. If you want to see something different, leave a comment down below, and I can see what we can do. But it's a growing channel, hopefully, and it's just something I like doing in my spare time. Hopefully I'll see you next time, and thanks for watching here at Crossing the Line. Thanks for watching our video. Please leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to our channel here at Crossing the Line, and I'll see you guys next time. 'Cause we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution.